This episode of Super GG Radio is brought to you by our Patreon. Patrons of the show can get our Dogs of Super GG Radio newsletter, Super GG Radio stickers to slap on your closest PC or bag, input on what we cover, game nights with the hosts, and even a chance to win a copy of an indie we talked about. Not only that, but 90% of all patron contributions go to the Children's Miracle Network of Hospitals. Visit patreon.com/superggradio to learn more. What's good, Internet? And welcome to session 220 of Super GG Radio, where friends chat about video games and all things adjacent. I am your totally awesome Toon Squad captain, akin to Bugs Bunny, Alex Arona. I have also sabotaged Getty. Once again, he came back for one episode, and then I kidnapped him. I gave him one of those blackjacks to the back of the neck, and then I hog-tied him. And put him on a stick. He's in the closet right now, so let's continue.
Nobody should be forced to be in the closet, Alex.
I could put him in the cellar.
That's probably a better place. Keeps him nice and cool.
With me, as always, with his Daffy Duck level of grouchiness, Joel DeWitt. Hey, what's going on, Joel?
Is Daffy Duck grouchy? I guess he's grouchy.
It has moved to lesser amounts of grouchy, but he is grouchy.
Okay. I mean, he's wacky. That's sort of the first. Yeah, wacky and grouchy.
I'd say all of them are relatively wacky. I don't know if he's the particular wacky one.
Well, I know this says give me a better Looney Tune, but I kind of like Daffy Duck. He's one of my favorites.
Okay. All right. And then all tunes are assigned out by me based on your personality, and I say it's duck season. We also have legendary Roadrunner Alec Parks.
Meep meep. That's it. That's all I have to say. Podcast over.
Yeah, luckily no one's going to be able to understand what that said, so. We don't speak Roadrunner. And I find that offensive. Let's jump in, because this week we got to stealth out our early adopters, turn up the volume with the news, and then someone must have played something for the Backlog Blog. I filled it in, don't worry. I'm always playing something. But first, early adopters, where we play alphas, betas, and games where we learn to read. Jimmy can't read. I can tell you that right now.
No, but he can learn.
We played Jimi Can Not Read. This is this is an HIO game, but it kind of harkens back to like a Game Boy game where you're just like a little character and who could jump and move sideways and can shoot. But what's cool is that Jimmy can't read, and there are sentences all over the world. And by hitting those sentences, with a little Mario bop, like you're hitting them with your head, you get letters. Then there are letter roadblocks, like gates, and you have to type those letters out. But you don't get those letters until you find them in a sentence. Does that sound right, Joel?
That's about right. They're the red letters on the sentences, and they all pop out in a really satisfying way. You have to go collect them, so it's just a nice layered effect there. The actual structure of the levels is that there will be blocks with different letters on them, and then you'll have to shoot them with the letters you got dropped from the platforms, and you do that to progress. There's some puzzles as well along the way,
and enemies.
For those sentences, I love how they have a bounce to them. Yeah. So it's almost like a spring more than just a straight walk across, which it's a nice little added bit of flavor when it comes to the movement.
And plus, it's kind of fun to each letter is like an item in your inventory. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, I got some A's in my inventory. I got like 10 A's, and I have 3 T's. 3 T's. Note that, because I'm going to be using these T's later on. So it's pretty fun.
Are you going to spill the tea?
I never spilled the tea, Alec. I've only kept the tea in my cup.
Sure you have.
And this is a very cute Game Boy style game. It's like very 8-bit, pixelated with some like cute little chip tunes, and I'd say that it's pretty charming in what it's trying to do. Even just saying like, oh, Jimmy can't read, but he can learn is like really like adorable. Like, you got to root for Jimmy in this scenario, and it feels good.
It does. It's satisfying to explore. It is like Mario meets Donkey Kong when it comes to the level design. There'll be jumping and platforming, but there's also a lot of ladders to go up and down. But it was fun. It was silly fun. I ran across a sequence where it had T, I think, as the sequence of letters you had to hit with the blocks, in a sequence to get across the road. And I had the E and the A, and I thought I had the T, but I didn't. So I walked back and realized that if you throw a letter and walk off screen and come back, that letter disappears. And I'm pretty sure
you lose it out of your inventory.
Yeah.
There was also some really kind of trippy puzzles where I couldn't see the ground and I fell and I came out the ceiling, and that was kind of part of the puzzle, was that you were supposed to find the right spot to fall so that you fell at a section above you.
I enjoyed those puzzles.
Yeah, and you're moving from screen to screen, and you'll hit a roadblock, so it'll there'll be a word that's a gate. It'll say it'll say test, and you have T and E, but you don't have an S yet. So you're like, well, I guess I got to come back to this roadblock, and then you explore a couple more screens, and say 3 screens to the right, all of a sudden there's an S. Okay, but now you have the S. Now you got to find a way to make it back, and that's kind of the hard part, is being able to remember where you needed that letter before, and how do you get it back. So it's like a real not memorization, but it's about remembering spots so that you can go backwards. Backtrack. Yeah, I'm blanking.
It's a Metroidvania.
Yes, it is a Metroidvania to a certain extent. I'd say so.
How long did it take you to figure out the press start room?
What do you mean?
So there's a room where you get the letter S, and there's a character that's just telling you to press start.
Uh-huh.
And you had to press the star, the asterisk key, and T.
Well, I definitely did not figure that one out.
Yeah.
What happens if you do?
Oh, it changes the layout of the level, and it makes it so that you can't fall through the bottom anymore in the weird spots, and you can actually get to the S.
Wow, man,
Yeah.
that's this has got some real clever solutions to these puzzles. Wow, that's pretty good. It's a good. Jimi Can Not Read is definitely something I feel like people should check out. There is depth there. It kind of reminds me of was it Baba Is You?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Baba Is You, and that kind of brain teaser. But you get those clever moments, and you're like, oh man, that's pretty cool. It feels cool, just the fact that you did something, you figured out a solution like this. So that is Jimi Can Not Read, Jimi, and then Can Not Read on itch.io. The next thing, if we're talking sticky fingers, we played Keepsake County. Keepsake County is a first-person kind of silly B&Eing. We're B&Eing. If we're talking about letters,
Yeah,
we're B&Eing. Breaking and entering. You are given a first-person character, and you are given tools to break in and just shove a bunch of stuff into an old jewel bag. Joel, what did you think?
The nondescript supermarket shopping bag. Yeah. This game was tough. I had a tough go at it. They drop you at the end of a map with a car, and the goal is to go and burglarize the house. And in the couple of levels I saw, it's pretty much littered with people all around kind of exploring or walking, or there'll be spots where they might just be standing at a hallway and aren't moving, but then will spot you. The character movement and the way they interact feels a little inconsistent. So there are some times where if somebody found me and I ran off and hid in a bush, they would stop chasing after me, but they would just stand there and stare like do nothing, just sort of stand there as a sentry. Like, I know you're in there. I won't hurt you because you're in a bush, but I'll wait here till you come out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a little weird.
Did you run out of shoelaces?
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta tie them up, man. You gotta tie them up, people. Like, this is like, the thing about it is that Keepsake County is a fun, like, stealth kind of game where you have to, like, there are like 7 different ways to get into any house. So there are, like, jump on a trampoline, get on the roof, go on the top, and then you're in the, like, rafters or in the vents, and then you can, like, find the high ticket items and take them because your jewel bag gets full. But all of this is just to say that this game kind of feels bad, and I don't mean mechanically. I mean, it feels kind of gross a little bit that you're, like, breaking into people's houses and just ganking their stuff, which is not a bad thing. Of course, like, you play in other shooters and you just murder people, but I don't know, it feels real violating in this one.
Well, you're specifically going around trying to distract people, and it's clear that they don't have a lot.
Maybe that just speaks more on me. Like, I'm okay murdering people. That's probably that I'm numb to. I am not numbing to going into someone's house and then, like, stealing their first place trophy. Just feels kind of gross. Is that just me? Are you guys cool with this one?
No, it was a little.
Okay.
It felt a little weird.
Joel?
Now you think about it, there was something in the back of my mind, but, like, you push it aside for the fun
sake of
a little bit at some point.
Yeah, Keepsake County, though, for the sake of the actual gameplay, I did feel like it was really like weirdly forgiving. Like, at one point I just walked right past somebody and they had, like, a little exclamation meter that kind of goes up, and it only went up, like, halfway, and then I just turned a corner and they were like, all right, no big. And that's also where it kind of felt gross, because I was like, oh man, you don't even know what's happening right now. I'm just gonna steal your painting and I'm gonna steal your plates too.
One thing I would request is controller support. So
yeah,
there's some controller support. I had a decent time with the Xbox 360 controller.
It didn't register for me.
Yeah, me neither. What kind of support did you get out of it?
I had everything worked well except for scrolling through the different items. Okay. Sometimes it was hard to land on the particular item that I wanted.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, and it wouldn't recognize my controller.
Oh.
Yeah. But I mean, it's okay. Either way, I was fine with mouse and keyboard. It just felt like a first-person shooter. So you're going through these houses. It's very cartoony. If anyone's ever played, like, Void Bastards, it's very much similar art style, where it's, like, meant to be cartoony, but also, like, kind of serious and dark. Almost like a Ren and Stimpy cartoon. Mm-hmm. And you're going through these houses that have just, like, multiple entrances, multiple paths, multiple items, and then you unload your jewel bag in your car and then go back for more if you want, or you get in your car and drive to the exit. Sometimes there are multiple houses in, like, a map. So there'll be like okay, this section has 3 houses, and you could do things like getting pools, getting bushes. The more you get caught, the cops will come. You keep getting caught, a detective will come. You kind of see things where, like, you're supposed to be, like, crouching to sneak, but if you start, like, just walking around, it starts leaving footsteps, so people will be looking for that. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? There was a lot going on in this game mechanically. You get a lockpick, but there are keys everywhere, so you could also just use keys to open doors. Dogs, neighbors. I'm trying to think what else.
Your lockpick is a screwdriver and a hammer, to be clear here.
Is that not how you lockpick, Alec?
No, not at all.
Yeah, well, it's a way.
Right.
That's how I do it.
Eventually, brute force will win.
Yeah, right. And I'm trying to think of there's other items, right? There's other items. You get
well, you got the key ring, the wire cutters, the
wire cutters
shoelaces.
for setting off alarms. Right?
Yeah. Shoes for the shoelaces. You pick those up, put them in your bag, steal the shoelaces to hog tie people.
Nice. And yeah, so it's the idea is that you can, like, get as much as you can, get in, get out, or you can stay longer and kind of go for the, I'm going to go for, like, I need to max out my profits here. and that's a very real risk reward scenario. I did a thing where I sat and just like emptied out every house, but then the next level I literally did like half of a house and went like, well, this is a little bit more difficult. I think I did fine, and I dipped out. And each time it's just like, well, here's how much money you got, and I'm like, okay, pretty good. So I assume that there's going to be, and there's like different, like this. It's a kind of a big map with different house maps. They'll say this is the next house, this is this house. So I assume there's probably going to be some gating depending on how you do, how much money you get from each house, that you can progress. Also, that menu system's pretty funny because it's just like a finger, and you're moving along like a menu, and you just poke at it, and that's your button press. Joel, did you have any final thoughts on Keepsake County?
I had a harder time with this than you, but the one time when I did win felt like a real victory. It was all very kind of harrowing. I got caught and had to sort of scramble halfway through the house and jump into a bush. I do appreciate it is that very clear division of like, as long as you get to the bush, they'll forget you ever existed. Yeah, I enjoyed that sort of older school sensibility of enemy placement and design. I'm looking forward to this. I think it's a pretty neat game.
Awesome. Alec, any thoughts?
No, I think I said all I had to say.
Awesome. So that is Keepsake County. And I got a smiley face bag filled with stuff. So let's take a break. Let's get some B&Es to take inventory. Hey News, there need to be more Step Up movies. I don't agree. I think they ended Magic Mike too early.
Wait, is that like part of the same universe or something?
No, but it's like a movie about dancing.
Oh.
Like stepping it to the streets. Magic Mike movies are surprisingly okay.
Yeah.
Like they're not bad. Have you seen any of those, Joel?
No.
Donald Glover's in the second one.
Oh, is he?
Mm-hmm.
Good for him.
Yeah. I mean that guy's
He's a talent.
He's multi-talented. Multi-talented. All right, news. We got a bunch of 1.0s this week. We got Bakura. Goes 1.0. Joel?
Yeah.
Bakura.
Yeah. I've got so much to play already right now.
30XX goes 1.0. Hey, check out our beta breakdown. And Stray Gods, the role-playing musical, also goes 1.0. That one's been on my wish list for a while. That's just why it's on here. I've been wanting to play that one for a bit. That's for my own.
Yeah, Humble Bundle was so psyched on it, they sent out the announcement a day early that it went live.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm going to rearrange some of this here because of some of the releases here. Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis releases September 7th, so we got a release date on that. Joel, have you heard of Ever Crisis?
Which one is Ever Crisis?
Okay, so let's break this down. If you remember Final Fantasy 15, they made a version for iOS.
Yes.
Full game. But how would you do that? You take the realistic graphics and you make them chibi. Mm-hmm. Chibi cartoony characters. But it's still Final Fantasy 15 just on your phone. Now imagine if you wanted to combine all of the Final Fantasy VII games together. How would you fit that all into iOS? You make them cartoonish. So now if you ever want to play all of the Final Fantasy story, I'm told also including Crisis Core, Ever Crisis for iOS. I've been waiting on this one. Excited. I played a little bit when I went to the Square Enix booth at Summer Game Fest. I had to play something to get that free beer.
Fair.
Next, Papers, Please. To celebrate its 10-year anniversary, it's been 10 years of Papers, Please, they get a D-make in a Game & Watch style game. So if you search Papers, Please, Game & Watch on itch.io, you'll get a little Game & Watch little version of Papers, Please.
So that's always a good way to pass time.
Yeah, it's pretty silly. So next one is WrestleQuest suffers last-minute delay, pushing it back to late August. It was like a day or a couple hours before it came out. As it turns out, it had a game-breaking bug that would eat people's saves.
Yeah, it had to do with cross-platform saves, really, was where they found it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And since it was supposed to be, I mean, it's an RPG, so you can sink hours and hours and hours into this and lose your save. So they did not want to touch consumers' hands.
Oh, absolutely not. From what I'm told, there were actually several review websites that were just like, oh, yep, this happened, and it's happened to us. I know GameSpot specifically. It kind of sucks.
What's the interest level in this game here?
I've heard nothing. I've heard some good things. Me, it's just not. I'm just really behind on games right now, and it didn't like jump out as like the top tier, most amazing thing. I thought it was cool. It's on my wish list for sure. What about you guys?
It's on my wish list, and I'm gonna probably wait for it.
I was gone when you guys covered this one, so I'll be curious to see what it looks like once it comes out.
It's a very cool it reminds me of a little bit of like turn-based like Final Fantasy VI, the SNES Final Fantasies, in that way. And there's a lot of like gear to equip and different matches that are going to have different RPG mechanics. It's pretty cool. Next, Quake 2 was announced over at QuakeCon. There's been discussions on this because the Quake Remastered originally was last year at QuakeCon, done by and they had a campaign created by Machine Games, which is the people behind Wolfenstein. And I'm told that this is a very similar idea, that they have a campaign now created by Machine Games, and it's a remake coming to all platforms, including Nintendo Switch.
Nice.
Who here has experience with Quake?
I have played Quake like twice.
Okay.
It was okay. It was good. It reminds me of those back in the day, like run and gunning, like you're just strafing and shooting the entire time.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Alec, did you have a Quake experience or no?
Yeah, back in the day, I had played Quake. It was always fun because it actually, before I was as into Linux as I am, it always ran on Linux.
Okay.
And so it was kind of, got me into it a little bit.
Oh, cool. All right, so we're seeing a little bit of...
Getty probably has some experience, too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd imagine Getty would have some experience with that. Next, Dead by Daylight, their newest DLC, it's Alien DLC. So we're going to get some Ripley action. We're going to get some Alien happening. And that Dead by Daylight's going to continue to be a platform of just horror stories in asymmetric multiplayer.
They've really Fortnited that style of gameplay, didn't they?
It's good. It's good. I think that there should be more like all-encompassing style games, a la the Fortnite or even like a Smash Brothers Ultimate, right? Just just bring everything together. You only need one package to have everything. Mm-hmm. Pick up that DLC, baby, and then get some new characters. Since when have we seen Sigourney Weaver and Nick Cage together? My internet's down, so I can't tell you when the last time that was. Can anybody give me a check? Have they been in a movie
I
together?
am not Googling that. Not Googling that.
I wonder if anyone's... Anyway, Red Dead Redemption is getting a port, but also that port is getting disappointing fan backlash. $50 for Red Dead Redemption to run on everything, including... Undead Nightmare, right? Undead Nightmare?
Yep, that was the name of the DLC. That was a really cool thing, going across the desert and fighting off zombies.
I don't see any, bad blood with this, but I do think that people just wanted that PC port. And this is not coming to PC at all, so.
That That's strange to me, because isn't Red Dead 2 on PC?
It's not about that. From my understanding, and this is like some insider stuff that someone had told me, it's that people expect a lot more from PC ports. Like they expect like a lot more customization, anti-aliasing and all these other things. I want to be able to change this and do this and have added filters, and I want these added features. Mm-hmm. And it's just not going to have that. It's going to be bare bones, run like it did on the 360, 30 FPS, let's go.
Got it. Okay.
It's good,
so you're telling me it won't play on the KFC console?
No, because that's a PC, baby.
That's disappointing.
Yep.
It's also not a thing.
Yep. It's what's it called? It's vaporware. It's all vaporware.
Yep.
Continuing on to our favorite section, freebies. Brok, put the sound in here.
Freebies.
Freebies.
I'm gonna keep just like telling him, even though it doesn't matter. He knows exactly when to put it in here. First freebie, Europa Universalis 4. If you've been trying to get into some like sim level Civilization with more in-depth features than Civilization, may I give you Europa Universalis. Number 4 on Epic Game Store. Also, Orwell, Keeping an Eye on You, Epic Game Store. This is a third-person, like, story-driven, like, it's not platforming, but it's like, an adventure game in a world where you are being watched by Big Brother. Everything you do is on camera. Orwellian society.
I mean, haven't we kind of come to that with the advent of Twitch and TikTok?
I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. Everyone's got an Alexa, dude.
Good point.
Yeah,
but that's not on camera.
We mostly do this to ourselves.
Oh yeah, dude. He has so many cameras set up around his house, like out the outside, but also like he controls my mom's doorbell camera, and it's always like, "Mom, your doorbell's fine." Like, "Mom, go answer the door." Cameras on cameras, Alexas on Alexas. I mean, in the world, we've proven that the FBI is listening. South Scrimshaw Part 1. I believe this is kind of a creepy fishing game. It was hard to parse, but this is on GOG. South Scrimshaw Part 1. Papers, Please LCD is the proper title of the Papers, Please D-Make that's on itch.io. So Papers, Please LCD. Also free on itch.io. Overwatch 2. We never really discussed this, Joel, but it is now a Steam game.
I feel like announcing this separately as a freebie is a little bit of a cheat.
How so?
It's been free everywhere. It's
not on Steam. No, not on Steam.
But it's been on PC.
Steam. But now it's on Steam.
PC.
I don't need BattleNet. I don't need BattleNet, Joel.
I mourn the name BattleNet for what's happened to it. I am happy to lose the however many gigabytes of storage for BattleNet.
I'll install Overwatch 2 and then get back to you, because I'm wondering if it's one of those things where BattleNet needs to be installed in the background, and I don't want that. Lastly, Lilith Wants to Buy Your Soul on Steam. This is kind of hardly a game. It's a series of inane questionnaires that how you answer a demon lady will continue to torment you. It's real silly and real funny. So Lilith Wants to Buy Your Soul on Steam. Now hear me out. Step up 6, walk it out. Or step up 7, Inception. Oh, damn it. These are pretty good, Getty. Oh, these are pretty good.
I like 7.
Yeah, 2-step, 2 up Furious. Let's get out of here. We'll be right back. And we're back. Back with the Backlog Blog, where we play games. And these are they. We didn't have anything plugged into this segment, so Getty just kind of wrote this like generic sentence. And
sure, it didn't.
It's pretty funny, to be fair. And these are they. Joel,
we should probably be grateful he did anything for us this week.
Oh, absolutely. We were terrorizing him in our chat while he was trying to work. Good. Joel, you played Teslagrad Remastered. What is Teslagrad?
So you know Limbo?
Yes.
That's a good starting point.
I'm aware of
a foundational comparison. 2D puzzle platformer where you don't have any tactical action to attack things, but you are able to input with the world in order to trigger small mini puzzles. So you play a boy who has found their way into this city with a king and a tower of wizards who are fighting the king.
I do love towers of wizards.
How else do they do it on the moon?
Fair. But continue.
So what you need to do is go up this tower and out the tower to face the king in the end and vanquish him, more or less. How you get through is these, like magnets. How do they work? Right, the left pull and the right pull of a magnet. You have a power where you can use one hand to do one polarity, one hand the other polarity, and throughout the platforming there will be obstacles or waves of energy that will be the one polarity, and you'll either need to use the one that will push you away to jump over different obstacles, and sometimes ones that will grab you in to do other obstacles. So say like if there was a red wave up top to a grappling place and I needed to find my way up there and there was a blue pad at the bottom, I could run and jump over to that blue pad, hit the blue on my character's hand, it would push me and propel me up, and then I could use that same blue color to then push me towards the grapple spot, something like that, right? And it does a good job with all those puzzles. So like it's not quite as tight as some of the other 2D platformers are. There's a few sections where it felt more like, oh well, there isn't, you're generally supposed to do this, but we're just going to throw a bunch of stuff at you, and you can figure it out with the tools you have. So that yeah. Go ahead.
Did you play the original Teslagrad?
I did not. No.
Okay.
So this got announced with Teslagrad 2, if I'm not mistaken, and they were released same day, if I recall, too. So I was aware of it. It wasn't something that ever came across my lap to actually play it. I knew it had a good reputation as a very good 2D puzzle platformer. It wasn't one of those that grabbed me at the time. Visually, it looks great. Things are a lot brighter and cleaner. There's definitely more detail, both in the environments and the characters. Even little details like the outfits have.
What was this on originally?
PC.
PC, yeah.
Okay.
I think it was just originally PC, and then it sort of metered its way out to different consoles over time. But
okay.
it's $10. It's a very nice game. It doesn't overstay its welcome. Nothing was so frustrating that it felt impossible. And it has a lot of really cool boss moments. I mean, for one example, there is sort of a dwarf character that traps you in a room, and he is shooting colored lasers at you. And some of them will be red, and then you will have to like push the lasers away from you with the same color to try to reflect and bounce it back at them. So
there's not like direct combat.
No, it's all like interacting with the environment to counterattack type stuff.
That's cool.
Or even some of them are more purely platforming challenges. So there's even a little bit of variety in that way that helps keep things fresh, and they're metered out very slowly. There's not many bosses, so don't get the impression with that's to be like a whole boss rush. One funny thing, they give you a map.
Yep.
And it gives you the impression that's going to be a Metroidvania thing where you're going to have to backtrack a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Not really.
Oh, okay. So it's relatively linear, and they just let you know like that's your progression.
I mean, yeah, it's relatively
Yeah.
linear. Like, you're going up this tower, and it's a literal tower with different, like, walkways on the different sides that are usually where you're, like, opening up past blocking places like doors and stuff. But like there's not that much detail where it's like I'm going to go back in the prior room, or this room is so big that I need to know exactly where the walkways are. I mean, there might be like one section where it helps quite a bit, but it was just a funny little side piece of information they gave me. It tickled me. But overall, yeah, I like the game. It's very fun. I imagine that when I did the time, I'll probably find Teslagrad 2 and give it a try. Hopefully, we'll see a lot more innovative ideas from the time that they've had from when this first came out for PC a lifetime ago.
Awesome. All right. That's Teslagrad Remastered. Kind of reminds me, there's the Brandon Sanderson. Is that name, Alex? Brandon Sanderson.
Yep, that's his name.
There were in his books, there's these characters that have like kind of powers where they can control like metal, kind of like your character. So they would carry coins, and they would like put it on the ground, and then they would use that to propel themselves through the air.
Coin shots and what did they call the pullers? I don't remember.
Yeah, and then they could pull like themselves towards metal stuff too. So it was like a grapple and a push away. Just reminded me of that.
No, I mean that's a fair comparison because you're dealing with that push and pull a lot. Like I feel like there is a game using these tools where you could be really high flying, unwieldy but controllable. That kind of like I'm really flying once I get the hang of it kind of movement. So like Spider-Man has that kind of like anybody can pick it up and start feeling pretty smooth and cool, and it gives you enough time to learn how to be really good at it. Gravity Rush, do you remember that game?
Oh yeah.
That was probably one of my favorite games on the Vita and PlayStation 4 when it came out. And what makes it great is that movement, because it's that game, you're directing your center of gravity and not flying, but like falling in these different directions where you have to be continually like adjusting your shots to get yourself in the right space. And like that, I could see Teslagrad's system being tweaked or put into a world in the right way where it could be that same kind of cool, like when you're first learning, you're just ricocheting off of everything, but once you get the hang of it, you're Spider-Man.
High skill ceiling.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, I played a game called A Fisherman's Tale. I don't remember if I've talked about it on the show before, but this is a VR game. And it's a very cute storybook game. You're a fisherman in a lighthouse. But of course, you also have a mini, like a model of your said lighthouse, including a little toy of yourself. And it is VR. And of course, there's like a very charming like narrator talking to you. Like, first he brushed his teeth, and you go and you brush your teeth, and then he put on his fisherman hat, and you go to the room and you find your hat, and it's very like it's VR, right? That's the gimmick. But then it gets real like wacky, where it'll say like, oh, something is blocking his door, he can't go to his kitchen, and you look and there's something there's like a big rock in front of your kitchen. And what you do is you lift off the roof of your model, and you reach inside and grab the rock out of in front of the door to the kitchen. And you see in the background, there's a giant hand reaching into your room, grabbing the rock as you're doing it, is like a full mirror reflection. So it's very much like this, like just constant, like you reach into the model, or you get put somehow into the bigger, like you escape your lighthouse and you're in a giant room that's just your room, and you have to solve puzzles that way. So there are a lot of things like that where it's like you'll talk your thing gets, your lighthouse starts to get flooded, and this fish is like, I can help you, but I want a cool hat like yours. And it's like, but your hat's too big. You have to go, you have to escape yours, find the hat, put it somewhere you can go back into your model, grab it. Now it's a tiny hat. It's really kind of cool. And yeah, it's very fun. It's very short, but it's just real snappy in how the puzzles are. It feels very like It feels very clever. Like each time I never would have thought of that, but also it just seems so obvious. Of course that's how you do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost like a nesting doll kind of situation. Is that how I'm understanding it?
Yes, but it's very, again, it's very interactable. Just looking out your window, you see yourself. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just like, turtles all the way down. Yeah. So, and there's a sequel. I gotta look into it. We have a code for it. I want to review it, but there definitely is like more to this game that I'd be excited to play. And I think that like with the small experiences that it is, it doesn't have a whole lot. It doesn't have a whole lot of buy-in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't. You don't have this giant like, this is going to be hours and hours. It's like, no, it gets in, gets out, tells you a quirky tale, especially with a clever narrator, and then gets out.
You did a nice small experience. Just the right amount.
That's all you need, baby.
But the real question is, how many times did you throw up?
This one did not make me sick. This did not make me sick.
Do you have that issue with VR right now?
No, but certain games will do that. Famously, Kill It with Fire made me very sick.
Okay. All right.
That one is because it's like very like movement heavy, and it's like movement on the stick, and also on the right stick is your camera, but at the same time you can also just walk. So I would like walk forward and stop, and then I'd be holding the stick and my guy would keep going, and it's like really disorienting that way. Like I was both moving with the sticks and my body at the same time, and it just like that non-matching up movement made me queasy. Okay. I could only play Kill It with Fire VR for like an hour. And by the end I was like, my mouth started watering and I was like, no, I'm done. It's going to get real gross. Real fast. But A Fisherman's Tale is adorable, and you don't have a whole lot of movement except for just exploring the small space, and it's really fun. So those are our backlog blogs for the week, which leads us to our last segment. Wait. No. Joel, we're doing a Super GG radio in the movies. At the movies.
Why?
Because I saw Gran Turismo.
That one with Paul Walker, right?
No. That's mean. You know that you can't use his name.
That one with Aaron Paul.
There we go. That was Need for Speed.
Oh.
Gran Turismo follows a real-life story. My brother had told me about this after when I was about to see it, is that there was a reality TV show called GT Academy, where they took the best Gran Turismo players in the world and pitted them against each other, that there was 10 of them, and they had to try to actually race in real cars, and they were trained and slowly eliminated until there was only one. And then that guy became a racer, and he's still a racer to this day. But it is this in movie form now. The real life guy is the stunt driver for the actor, and it's a really good, compelling story, and those race scenes are edge of your seat, just intensity. You are like, I realized I was watching this and I was like, my heart's kind of racing. This is like real exciting right now. Like thousandths of a second, like race wins, and it was just you're rooting for him the whole time because he's a young kid and people are telling him he can't do it.
Is this something that's taking itself seriously? So is it more like a dramatic thing?
It is a dramatic thing, but at the same time, it doesn't feel cheesy. It feels like this is a real story. It doesn't feel like except for they do make like very heavy references to like, oh, this is the creator of Gran Turismo. They made this game that realistic for a reason. And then later on, at one point, he does bad in the GT Academy, and he goes, there was a problem with the brakes. And the guy's like, you'd have never driven before. And he goes, the video game has taught me how a car's supposed to work. And then later on, they check the car, and of course, there's something wrong with the brakes. And they're like, how did you know? And he goes, they make these games realistic. And it's like, I don't know if that's real. And it wasn't played for laughs. It was like supposed to be like a real like, oh, we should take these kids serious kind of moment. But it still was like it was still like the guy from Stranger Things. I can't remember his name. Harbor.
David Harbour.
David
Harbour. He just that guy brings the emotion. He's got a really good range. He does he's up and down. He's really top notch in this. Everybody else is kind of just there. Ginger Spice is his mom. She's just kind of there. Orlando Bloom's kind of just there. He doesn't really do a whole lot, but I will say that it was well done. And it kind of made me think. I was like, at this point, I can kind of count on my fingers, like enough to say that there are good video game movies now. Like, of course, there was like a one-off, or this one was okay. Now it's like, well, we have some good ones now. I feel like I think we've gotten to a point that like they're making these now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You could like tell someone, hey, watch this, and then they like you could say like you could give this to like a real like. You can give it to Roger Ebert, Siskel and Ebert.
So we're about 7 to 9 years away from the collapse of the video game movie market.
Yep, they got to get in and get out right now, man. Make the good ones.
Yeah.
We got to watch that.
We're probably about 4 years away from that Super Smash Brothers movie.
We got to watch that. What's it called? Twisted Metal.
Yeah, Brok has been saying good things about that. Other people have been saying good things about that too.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, that's not good.
I will tell you that Gran Turismo will be better than Borderlands. I'm calling that right now. I have a feeling.
Probably a fair guess.
Okay, and that'll bring us to one last thing. Brought to you by finally getting that hot Remnant 2 action. Getty and I played Remnant 2. It was a good time. It was a good time. My one last thing is, hey guys, we were playing Remnant 2, and what I like about Remnant in that series is that it's completely randomized. They've created these worlds and these maps that are all varied biomes, but in Remnant 2, it's so random that everyone's starting place is different too. So my starting place was completely different than what Getty started at. And he was like, I've never seen any of this. And of course, we're like playing through this map and we're shooting monsters and we're trying to like race through this dungeon. And all of a sudden, a giant world snake appears that like with a giant life bar. And I was like, oh man, we got an extra bonus boss that's just hanging out here.
Nice.
It was a good time. It was a good time. We didn't beat that boss, but we're gonna keep plugging away. Joel, you got one last thing?
I think I get Disco Elysium.
Tell me more.
I think clearly I need to play in larger batches of this game because you find sometimes that you'll start a conversation with a character and it'll go on for 10 to 15 minutes on its own. Mm-hmm. And it won't necessarily give you direction on what to do next. It'll just be like cool world building stuff.
Yeah.
The story is less important about the murder, and it's more important just about character development, and not just yours, but the whole world of Martinez. And I won't go into too much detail in it, but I sure have done some awful things. And let me tell you, like, what you learn very quickly is that you get a lot more information if you're terrible in these games. You made more progress sometimes when you're terrible in these games. And the other thing is, when you listen in, sometimes see people say really despicable stuff to you because they think you're in on it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, man, I'm terrible just like you. And they say something horrendous. And you're like, I'm not in that much.
No, I had one of those moments this week. That's sure that's a sentence I've read that'll probably never leave my brain. Like,
yeah, I think that. Yeah, I mean, part of Disco Elysium is that it's Dungeons and Dragons without being Dungeons and Dragons, where they like really kind of give you a whole lot of options and a whole lot of ways to go about it. It's a little bit more focused, but it definitely is a build your character the way you kind of want. Do I want my character to be more like intuitive and more like on the hunches, or do I want him to be like just a brute force idiot, or I mean, it's like really lets you adjust how your character reacts, how the world reacts to him, and everything else under the sun. Alec, what's your one last thing?
Oh, I'm going to dive into Baldur's Gate 3 more this weekend. Sadly, didn't get as far into it as I wanted to over the last week, but I'm hoping this week is a little lighter and I can really sink my teeth into it.
Hell yeah.
What did you roll? That's what
I've rolled a bard.
Okay.
Alex,
that was,
Alex
of course I rolled a
bard
bard.
through and through, man.
That was the right phrase, though.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Alec, did you get the dark?
Solid choice.
Did you get the dark whatever?
No, I haven't yet.
No, you could it's a thing that you choose at the beginning.
Oh. Wait. The dark what?
I can't remember, but you could just make your guy have like secret murder thoughts.
Oh. That I didn't have that option. I wonder if that's just for the pre-made characters.
I'll look, but there's a way like they've been having all these characters and all these classes, but then there's also like a thing that they added where it's like also you could just have a secret murderer. Like if you want, just like as an added wrinkle, some of the options are sometimes like, man, I bet that blood sure tastes good.
Oh, and some of the dialogue options, I'm sure they'll pop up. So far I got out of Avernus, which is one of the planes of hell, and I crashed the giant Nautilus ship, and I'm working on recovering my party.
Okay, yeah. The tutorial.
Yeah, still basically.
Yeah, no, I can't remember what it's called, but there's a thing you can like enable to like as an added wrinkle to the story, just to kind of like, oh, for people who've been playing Dungeons and Dragons forever, why don't you make your guy also just have secret murder thoughts, and that's pretty fun.
Oh, nice. No, I went with the standard difficulty option.
Very cool. Let me tell you, I've seen some footage of that game, and that dice rolling is real satisfying.
It is.
You hear like in a little cup, you hear the dice. It's like, oh, that just sounds like it feels good. Also, check out Poggers. Offer code good game to get a discount on all your Poggers drink choices. Anything from energy drinks to sleepy time powder drinks. Enjoy some Poggers. You're welcome, Getty. I did the voice. I did a commercial voice. And that will be it for this week's Super GG Radio. Before we go, you can find us on Twitter at Super GG Radio. It's not Twitter anymore. It's X. You can find us on X at Super GG Radio, Blue Sky at Super GG Radio, YouTube.com/@ Super GG Radio, TikTok.com/@ Super GG Radio. You can find us on all these places, including Twitch.tv/Super GG Radio, where Thursdays are our podcasts, where we record a podcast live for you. Wednesdays, Joel is disco dancing, being the bad guy in Disco Elysium. Saturdays, Joel and Kelly are attempting to escape the Escape Academy. Mondays, I'm struggling to get that day down. It's a new schedule. I have stuff going on, so it's hard for me to like pin down if I'm going to be able to stream. But that is normally Mondays are for Alex and his backlog. I got to pick a new backlog game as I finished hacking with Watch Dogs Legion. So I'll have to come up with a new backlog game. I'm thinking that Monster Hunter Rise, only because I bought that at launch, then bought it again on PC at launch, and I still have not touched it. I just keep thinking that like it's going to force me to play it. So maybe the backlog blog, or the Monday's backlog will make me...
Why did you double dip?
Because I thought that maybe it was the Switch that was the problem. I played it for like 2 hours on the Switch and it didn't grab me. So I was like, well, maybe it's the PC that'll grab me.
Well, how'd that work out?
Well, hopefully the backlog will grab me. Tuesdays, I'm playing Skater XL and chilling with dope beats. So come hang out with me on Tuesday. Skater XL, hitting those mods. I do a kickflip. Guys. If you'd like to reach us with questions or input, our email address is mail@superggradio.com. And please provide a review on iTunes or the podcast app of your choice. Give us a thumbs up on our YouTube videos with all of our beta breakdowns. We've had a new one for August. We had one in July. We're pumping them out. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for listening. GG, Joel.
Good game.
GG, Alec.
GG.
Good night, everybody.